Welcome to Sadhana. Let's take a look at the Pranayama functionality of the app. Start by tapping the app icon to launch, and you'll be brought to the main screen. From here you can select the Pranayama section to track and help guide you through your Pranayama practice. The first thing that you're going to want to do is set up your session by tapping the icon in the bottom right to head to the settings. First thing you can do is set the length of time for your pranayama practice. It's recommended to stick to maybe 5 up to 10 minutes starting out, and if you're very experienced, maybe working up from there 15 or 20 minutes at a time. Next, you can choose a color for the guide, the animation that's used to assist you with inhaling and exhaling. Just one way you can customize. And then you can set it up so that the journal will appear as soon as your session ends, so that you can record any thoughts or anything that came up during your practice. Another thing that you can set up is you can specify sounds for the pranayama pacer. You can specify a sound that will occur during the inhalation or during the exhalation, so that you can practice with the screen locked or with your eyes closed. So if you scroll down past the chimes here, you'll see some extra sounds that are included that will be continuous. So you can maybe select one for the inhalation and a different one for the exhalation, so that you can practice without having to have your eyes open. You can also specify the sound that will notify you that your session is complete. The last thing that you can set up is the 4 portions of the breath for your pranayama practice. These will differ depending on which practice you're doing on that particular day. You want to set it up so that they're not too long and not too short. You'll have to do some pranayama on your own to know what your body can handle. You'll know that you're setting your lengths for inhalation and exhalation too long or too short if you're gasping for breath, if you're panting. And also be careful with the retention and suspension portions of the breath, because those can be quite stressful on the body. It's recommended that you find a teacher in your area if you can to help you learn some of the subtleties of the pranayama practice. The default that's included is 5 breaths per minute, something that would not be too strenuous for most people. It's a reduction from the amount of breaths that you would take unconsciously, which is maybe around 12 to 15 breaths per minute, so it'll slow you down, calm you down a little bit. But you can set these up to 30 seconds. I wouldn't recommend going that high unless you've been practicing pranayama for a long time. So once you set the 4 different portions of the breath, you can go back to the pacer, tap the start button in the bottom center. You'll get a countdown, and then you'll notice an animation to help guide you through your breath. The guide expands as you inhale, contracts as you exhale. You'll also notice some instructions at the top of the screen. The guide will stop when you're to hold your breath. And you can just use this guide to help you focus on the different portions of the breath. And if you set up the sounds to occur on inhalation or exhalation, you can have your eyes closed and just follow the sounds. When there's no sound, that'll be the cue to hold your breath. You can reset your session partway through. You'll also notice in the center of the guide there is a count for the number of breaths that you've taken during your session. So that's a quick review of the pacer. You'll also notice in the top right hand corner, just like with some of the other portions of the app, I've included some different pranayamas for you to choose from. This list is searchable just like any of the other lists in the app, and you can just get some details on some of the most common pranayama practices, a description, stage-by-stage instructions, benefits, and contraindications. For multi-stage pranayama practices, it's recommended that you spend a few weeks with the first stage. Once you feel very comfortable with it, you feel like you've mastered it, you can move on to the next stage. Again, mastering the second stage before moving on to the third, and so on. So you can read up on some different practices here. One thing to note is the difficulty number. That will be very helpful for people who are just getting into pranayama to pick your first practice. Try to stay away from the more difficult. This is a 1 to 10 scale, so something with a difficulty of 9. I recommend that you stay away from that until you strengthen your lungs a little bit with some of the other practices. Pranayama is one of the more testing practices, more dangerous if you don't have experience with it. It can lead to unintended consequences with the cardiovascular and respiratory systems if not done correctly, so just be careful. And that's a quick tour around the pranayama functionality of the app. Thank you very much.